Hi, welcome to Lower League Management and how to get into your squad. This is part one, assessing your squad. I'm going to go through 6 or 7 points about what you should do when you first start off. The first thing I do is I go to my attributes. So I go into preferences, and I'll tell you a reason I do this. I search for colors. I go into skin colors, and I've changed my skin colors there. They're away from the default, but essentially I'm changing these excellent, good, and average attribute threshold. What this means is the standard one that you get with the game is 16. So it's green, or it's the top color that you choose for the attribute when it hits 16 and above. I've changed that because I'm in the Vanarama North. And if I go to the squad, I'll go to this guy. Now, with the top attribute being 16 for Premier League sides, for example, none of that would show here. It'd be all the other colours. I find it very difficult to assess the team properly when the colours aren't in relation. So, for example, my excellent attribute is 12. When I move up to the Vanarama National North, it will be 13. When I move up to League 2, it will be 14, League 1, 15, and so on. And I think it's good to have this colour stand out. It's just in relation to the league you're in. So that's the first thing I do. The second thing I do when I first join is head over to the team report where I select my tactics. So you've got to kind of put a tactic in first to get your team report. So I've just pre-loaded one of my favorite tactics, but you can choose anything you want. And then we go to team report. We look at the team report and it gives you your best 11. So we can see if I want to play this formation, I need to look at this position. Okay. The rest of it, they seem okay. I've seen to have good cover. 3 stars is certainly a good ability for your division and your team. 4 stars is they're probably playing a division higher, to be honest, and we'll come on to that on another video. And that one's not quite up to standard. So from this, you might want to tweak your tactic to suit the team. Now, the way you do that is you go to the squad depth screen, which is a really, really, really useful screen. When you land on it, it gives you the current ability. So there's all these drop downs here. The ones that I use are current ability. I can see how many strikers I've got and of what standard, so what cover I've got. So for that one position, there's 5 people that can play there at a minimum of 3 stars. Now, you can actually change this, the minimum ability. So if you don't want to be playing 1 and 2 star players in your main team, and you want to see what a good standard for your team is, select that 3 stars there and it trims them down. So if you can see here, my left back, I've only really got 1 that's any good. If I filter it back down again and go to no stars, I've got some at 2.5. So it depends on what you want to look at. If you want to see any serious team players that are ready right now for your squad and will play well each game, then I would recommend going for 3 stars and above. The other thing that might help you choose your tactic is if you go to show and then position overview, current ability. This is a good little screen because it tells me the positions I've got all over the pitch that I could potentially play. Now, these are all the positions on the pitch, literally. So I can see I've got 2 great goalkeepers, 1 good goalkeeper, 2 great central defenders, 3 good central defenders. So I know I've got cover here, 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 a little bit. Yeah, here, that's fine. Here, good there, really good there. Not so good here as the attacking wingers. And not so good here at the wing backs. Definitely some work need to do there because I've only literally got 1 player that can play there potentially. That tells me that I can play a 3 at the back. I can play a 4 at the back. I can play with a defensive midfielder. I can play with an attacking midfielder. I can play with 2 or 3 midfielders here if I wanted to. I could play with midfield left and right wingers on back, but my best option for the players that I've got in the team, and to keep everyone happy, remember, is that I can play with advanced wingers there. So I could go 4-2-3-1, which is quite a popular tactic currently in FM21, or any variation of. Now, notice the opinion of Danny Boschel. The next video will cover staff members, but Danny Boschel is giving us all this advice here on all of these. So what you need to do is you need to go over to staff, click on Danny Boschel. Now he's only got judging player ability and judging player potential of 7. So let's check my head of youth development, 5 and 4. So we want to beat 7 and 7, 7 and 12. So Nathan Salmon is the best at judging. Just a look at Ryan, 7 and 7. So we'll go back to our team report, squad depth. So we can literally choose another person here. So if the head of youth development, which sometimes happens where you've got those with I've seen a lot of head of youth developments that's got better stats in terms of judging player ability and judging player potential than your assistant manager. If that's your best guy, you can actually change it to him and he will have a slightly different opinion. Now, the stars won't change from like 4 to 2. They will change by kind of half a star. He might bring some more players in, remove some more players as well. There's very slight differences, certainly between the top 2. Here, look at L Knight. So Thomas thinks L Knight is the best attacking winger, whereas Danny doesn't. So just bear that in mind to pick your best person in there. So I think we're okay. We've got a bit of time before the window closes, so we can actually. I'm gonna pick this. I'm gonna pick this formation. So you can either go in with a formation that's previously worked for that you like, but at the end of the day, if you want to play with like wide wingers, for example, and you've got none in your team because the previous management have been playing a middle 3 narrow with no wingers, then you're going to really struggle because you've got to sign a hell of a lot of players then. So that's the time you might want to sort of tweak things about with it and play sort of this sort of formation. So when I've done that, I'll go into my squad. I sort by this column ability. So I look who my best players are, and then I'll have a quick look at what my potential ability is. Now, I will be looking at moving people out that are only sort of 1 and 2 stars. Eventually, when the squad gets bigger, these guys will probably have to take a hit as well. And again, I double check against the wages they're paying. And I know that I can get good players in this league for sort of £200, £300 per week. So, you know, I could exchange 2 good players in for these 2. If you look at this here, Tyler, £250 a week, 4-star ability, 5-star potential. Well, he's on £400 a week down here, Danny, and he's already maxed out his best at the age of 39. So at this point, I will flick through each of the players. Now you can either do it like this, or you can do it by hovering over this icon here, which brings up all the information. Have a look at the player traits, which again we'll come on to in another video. But you can kind of see where your people are. You know, this guy's very skillful with a lot of flair and pace. You just need to start getting a feel for your team because they've all got different characters, and you will learn the characters. The quicker you do this analysis and have a quick look through your team, the better. Now, you can use the notes system. If you right-click on his name, miscellaneous, create a note. You could create a note and say, Flair player. Well, Flair. Confirm. Go back. And it puts a little asterisk here, yellow one. And if you hover above it, it will just pull the notes up there. So certainly, I've done this before with new saves with a new team when it's a big team and they're all complex, different characters. It's a good thing to do potentially. Also, when you're looking through the team, have a look. The key thing, one of the key things is you want multiple positions. So you can see this guy here can play 4 of the positions that I've got on the pitch. And when you're in the lower leagues with very little money, which we've not got much of, by the way, you need players like this. This guy can play in two of my positions and potentially in 3 in an emergency. If you can only get 16 or 18 in your squad, then you want players with some versatility. The next thing I do is look through the reserves or the youth. These have got no reserves. They've only got a youth side. We go into squad, and literally everybody that's greyed out there is kind of not a real player in the game, essentially. They're just padding the squad out. I'm not too bothered about youth development at a lower club because I think, you know, even signing older players is a good option here until you start crawling up the leagues a little bit and you can get better facilities, better head of youth development, better youth intake. And again, I'll come onto youth intake on another video. So we've got one guy in here that's kind of on his own with some invisible friends. His name's Jamie Lyons. If we click into his report, coach report, here he is. Here's where he fits. So Jamie Lyons is the 8th best attacking midfielder right at the minute, but he does have 5-star potential. So he's a guy that I probably wouldn't leave down there on his own. I'd probably move up to the senior squad if I could, or loan him out. For hover oversee his age, he's 18 now. He needs to be either getting first team football or he needs to be going out on loan at 18. A lot of players at club from 15 to 17 develop a hell of a lot, and I've done lots of tests on that. Players, when they hit 18, the development in the reserves team tends to slow down, and you need to start giving them some game time. So if you can't give them game time in your first team, then move them up. So I'll move him up. I'm going to assess him later. That's the only reason I'm moving him up, but I might put him out on loan. The next thing I do is go to dynamics. Obviously, the team cohesion's poor because we've got a new tactic. Potentially, we've got different players of different the players haven't played together too much. We might have some new signings. This can affect the team cohesion. So what will impact team cohesion in game? It shows you here. This will impact player positioning during matches. So the position is not going to be like it should be. And with their vision and reactions, they're going to be less. So if you've got somebody a vision of 20, it's probably going to be coming out at 15 or 13. Nobody knows because it's a hidden stat in the game. But while your team cohesion's poor, then you're going to be not playing as well. So even if you plug a new tactic in, it might work for you. It's just that this is poor. The club atmosphere is good. Obviously, if there's any issues here, you can see with the guys in here that aren't very happy. It says it's had a high turnover of playing staff, which is also relates to team cohesion. So there's a lot to do with consistency. You know, once you've selected a core squad that you know you can manage, and I think sort of anywhere between 24 and 26 players in that first team squad to rotate with the cups and the length of the season that we have nowadays, with no winter break like a lot of the European clubs do. I think it's a good option to have that sort of players. If you're down at 16 players, then although they're going to be very happy, they're going to get very tired at the end of the season, you'll find your form will dip. Managerial support, and that all depends on a lot of factors, really. I mean, I'm starting as a Sunday League footballer, so I'm starting with no reputation. I think because I've gone to one of the lowest reputation teams in the English division at the minute, I think that's why mine is okay. But I've been to clubs as a Sunday League manager, Sunday League footballer, and it's been down here, low. If you start the game as an international footballer with lots of experience, then it's going to be instantly high, and it does make the game easy for you, but I do like a challenge. Also, when you're in the dynamics, just have a look at the hierarchy and just be careful, because once you upset, this happened in one of my previous saves, I upset a team leader, and it was a bit like this one. It wasn't this guy, but it was a bit like this one where he's got, if you click on that, that's all his friends, basically. That's his social group, otherwise known as friends in mine in your book. But if I upset this guy as a team leader, amazingly, all of these get demotivated and start supporting their friend. And all of a sudden, you're left with, 7, 8 players that are happy playing for you. So just be careful when you're doing your disciplinary. Mine was just telling the player off after having a bad game. And it went disastrous for literally the next 10 to 12 games. So they're your team leaders. They are ideal for captains, depending on a few other factors. Happiness is one that you need to keep your eye on. As you go through the pre-season, you'll probably find the playing time will be concerned, but don't worry, it'll all settle down. But just keep your eye on this screen sort of once a month, I would say, just to make sure there's nothing burning, because there's some simple fixes in here that you can do. People looking for new contracts, you can see earlier than when they ask you. Also, if they're not happy with training, you can tweak it for that player, give us some individual training or take them off in some individual training, and that will sort them out. But essentially, morale will raise when you're winning games. Then I will go to the team preview. So I'll click on competitions, the Vanarama North, then overview, season preview. And that's putting us at 150 to 1, where Bradford Park Avenue, down to finish in 20th place. These guys are way ahead. So that's judging it on the current player crop in terms of the ratings and the attributes that you've got for the players. This is the kind of media dream 11 here, and there's some other key players here beyond the 11, and we've got 2 in there. But this is actually, certainly in the lower leagues, this is a really good place to start signing people. For example, if we click on this guy, right-click him, he's available. I could potentially sign him. So one thing you do, certainly the lower the tiers you get a lot of these players on non-contract. So if we go to his contract information, he's on a non-contract. So potentially we could actually steal him, and he's part of the Media Dream 11. And literally the next thing I would do is just right-click on all these. And if I can sign them, what I'll do is I'll try and get them on trial straight away, and then I can have a good look at them. If not, I'll scout them all, because they might still be cheap. I've seen players that are decent that they just want to get off the wage bill. So I'd go down all of these, a bit painstaking, admittedly, because it's not one of those things you can select like a lot of other screens. But I would just scout all these. I just do a scout report on all these. Then the next thing I do is go to just look at the scouting center, which we will cover in the next video. But I just want to have a look around what we've got. So we've got no transfer budget, and we've got £495 per week wages. Now, if we look at our wage budget, we can see that we could probably get a couple of players. Certainly if we could shift a couple out, we'd definitely get a couple of players in there. On the next video, we are going to cover scouting, my scouting techniques and tricks, which I'll talk to you about, how I set the scouting up, why I do it that way. But then the final thing I do as a sort of initial assessment is going to the staff. a look at what I can have. You know, can I have one more coach here? Just remember to have a look in your your reserve team and your under 18s, because they have coaches too that you can fill spaces with. And the way you do that is you go into training here and you go into staff. So they're potentially there. I could have 3 more that we would have missed. So that's all for this video. Next time round, we're going to go for scouting, get lots and lots and lots of free transfers, which I'll show you what I've done, and then setting your network up for scouting at this low level. Thanks for watching. Hope to see you soon.